We are currently standing in the evaporator room located on third deck level, just after the boiler rooms. It's in this compartment that seawater was converted into fresh water for use by the boilers, by the crew, by anything on board that required fresh water. Now, what we're looking at, these three chests here make up what's called a triple effect evaporator. This worked in 3 stages to evaporate water, and we'll go into that in just a second. Now, we're on the starboard side. As we walk over to the port side, you can see that there are 3 more. They're identical, and they're a separate system. Together, they could make as much as 30,000 gallons of fresh water daily. That's not a lot of water. The boilers got first call on the water, and then from there, the crew, and this even included cooking. So there wasn't a whole lot of extra water. Now, there was also what's called a solo shell evaporator. That's an emergency evaporator located in a separate compartment much farther forward that could produce up to 12,000 gallons a day. Now, I don't know if they ever used it to supplement it, but it was primarily there for emergency use in case we lost these evaporators. Now, as I said, it's a triple effect. And what that means is that it purified water at 3 different stages. Now, the way this worked, in a sense, it's like a distiller, but not quite. A distillation unit's going to just boil salt water or whatever impure water. They'll condense the evaporated steam that comes off of it and turn it into pure water. Now, it operates at a much higher temperature than these, and as a result, you get a lot of scale, a lot of salt buildup that destroys them, and they require continual maintenance, pulling them apart and knocking off scale and salt. These work at much, much lower pressures. In fact, they even pump a vacuum onto these. You see these large tube here, and then there's more coming off of the other 2 units. And through this, they actually pull a partial vacuum on it. And inside of this gray portion is a tube nest where steam comes into it. That steam is a lower pressure. You're going to see in the title directly below it right now the temperature and pressure that this worked at, and also what the boiling point of water is at that point. So the water's heated through steam in these tubes, and then the steam comes up through this dome. A lot of it's condensed into water that's sent to the fresh water tanks, but the steam that's left now comes over and enters the tubes at this point. Now, at this point, the temperature of the steam has dropped considerably, and it would actually want to turn into water, except that what we've done is we've also lowered the air pressure inside this effect. So, I'm sorry, the steam comes out of the first one into the tube nest of the second. The water that's left over, because we've only actually removed some water from it, has a higher level of salt and carbonates, and it's pumped into this one. Now, again, the pressure's dropped even lower. You'll see the numbers appear at the bottom of the screen for it. Again, steam condenses off of that, it comes off of that. Part of it's condensed, returned as fresh water. And then the more concentrated brine is now pumped into the third effect, where again we go with residual steam that comes off the dome of the second effect to put through the tubes that heats this last stage. Now, at this stage, we're down to a very low pressure, which also means a very low boiling point of the water. Again, steam comes off of it. Now, they do another little trick here. Instead of just dumping that steam overboard, what they do is they run it through a heating coil, and they pull even more heat out of it, and that's used to help elevate temperatures farther up the line. But at that point, by doing that, they get even more fresh water dropping out of it that's returned. The effect is, for every pound when everything's working right, for every pound of steam they put into this, they get a pound of fresh water. Now, this doesn't scale up and produce the bad salts that cake on the heating tubes the way it would in a distiller, because what's happened is we've only taken maybe 25% of the water out of that, what starts as salt water and turns into concentrated brine. That's not enough water to make the salt start precipitating out of solution. So that remaining high concentrated brine is just simply pumped through the hole and overboard. Another thing about it is because we're putting partial vacuums on all three of these stages, that lowers the boiling point, and it actually, the temperatures, even the highest temperature in that first effect, is just low enough to where it does not encourage buildup of calcium deposits or hard deposits on the heating tubes, which is a constant problem in boilers and in distillers. What does happen is over a period of time, you'll get a somewhat soft residue that builds up. I hesitate to call it fluffy because that means that it's super soft. The important thing is it's not super hard. Well, as it builds up in there, it cuts down on the efficiency of these three stages. So what they can do is they can cut any one of these stages out that they want, bypass it, they undo all these nuts, and they pull those tubes out where they can then clean them out, clean off the inside. There's even a viewing port here that's pretty crudted over, but they can look through and shine a flashlight in there and actually get a visual indication. So they periodically will shut down these effects one at a time, clean them out, put them back together. That way they keep a constant supply of fresh water running. Now all of that happens over here on the same side. So they have, again, two independent systems. Now the next stop will be, we're going to go up a level into the evaporator pump room, and we'll just take a quick look at that. We've now entered the aft door on the starboard side into the evaporator pump room. We're on the third deck directly below the evaporator room. This is where all the serious work is done. Now, what we have in here are a series of pumps. One of them is an inlet pump that brings fresh salt water into the evaporators, and then a discharge pump that pumps it out back out into the sea. In between are various pumps used to pump between the effects, and we also have things like this little heater chest that's used to transfer heat from waste steam back into the system. Now we have basically two sets of these pumps and gear on each side of the room, and each set is to run one of the two sets of evaporators on the deck above. But the dominant feature in this room is this massive device. This is called an air pump, which is actually a little bit misleading because what it actually does is it's a vacuum pump. It's two vacuum pumps. These are very large. They're electrically driven by these motors. These are what's used to pull a partial vacuum to the right amount on each one of the evaporator effects. So from this, we go up and pull a vacuum through this chest and then up into the effects, and the air is pulled out into the room. We also then have additional steam pipes below. But inside we have this big old flywheel that smooths out the turning. And then if we peek down inside, you can actually see the crankshaft, the push rods, even crossheads and crosshead bearings that makes this work. This is really old stuff. It's not original to the ship when the ship was built because they had an earlier and less efficient evaporator system on board. But it did the job, and it's pretty serviceable. So all in all, once again, old technology stayed on board because it worked to the degree they needed it to, and it was reasonably easy to service.